Welcome again to the Old City of Yerushalayim. We're going to be studying the Torah portion of Shmini, Leviticus 9:1 to 11:47, as that's the Torah portion of this Shabbat. And I wanted to do down here because I want to touch on the whole concept of holiness. What does holiness mean? What are the dangers of holiness? What are the possibilities of achieving holiness? So we know that in Leviticus 19, not this week's Torah portion, it says, Doshim to you, you shall be holy, for I, God, your God, am holy. We'll have a lot of time to talk about that verse, but what is that holiness that God demands of us? What does it mean? What does he want to say? So holiness can best be described as a state wherein one has never felt closer to Hashem, never felt closer to God, while at exactly the same time, he's confronted by how truly far away he is from him. When the finite moves closer to the infinite, man starts realizing how insignificant he is facing the infinite. So we end up in a situation where it's a delicate balance between fear and awe of God, the finite encountering the infinite, and love of God. How is such a delicate balance maintained? So in this week's Torah portion, which is around the time, and we're also in the midst of the Holocaust Remembrance Day, and we're still in the midst of the pain of the losses since October 7th, and may that be the end of all the losses. But we read in the Torah portion a very poignant story, Leviticus 10. So, Vayakmu Bnei Aaron Nadav v'Avihu, each, Aaron's sons, Nadav and Avihu, each took matachto, his fire pan, put coals on fire in it, placed incense upon the fire, and thus they brought to Hashem a fire that was zara, zara, foreign, or not accounted for, not asked for, inasmuch as he had not commanded them to offer it up. All of a sudden we read the next verse, and fire went forth before Hashem and consumed them, and they died before Hashem. What's going on? What happened? What did they do wrong? They wanted to do something holy. They wanted to come closer to Hashem. We repeat twice in Shema Yisrael, twice daily. You shall love God with all your heart, all your soul, all your might. Yet we see with what happened with Nadav and Avihu, this all-encompassing love. They just needed to do something, to bring a fire of their own before Hashem because of their love for Hashem. That can be a very risky and dangerous endeavor. We could have tried to explain that it may be due to the fact that they acted very arrogantly, maybe, or in an unholy fashion, but that doesn't really make sense, because the words later say in Leviticus 10:3, and Moshe said to Aaron, this is what Hashem spoke, saying, I will be sanctified by those who are close to me. He speaks of Nadav and Avihu as those that are very close to him. So much so that they actually gave up their life and who they are to be even closer. So Nadav and Avihu were close, yet we see also, and this is the important thing we talked about before, that closeness to the infinite, divine presence, without boundaries and without limits, can be all-consuming. We'll see it later in Leviticus 10, in Deuteronomy 4, Hashem, your God, is a consuming fire. If you come too close to the infinite and just assume, I can do this because I love him and he loves me and we're okay and I can do this, it's a consuming fire. We become consumed by that closeness, by that fiery oneness that is God. Yet on the other hand, we'll wait till these people leave. On the other hand, we also see that Hashem says that the love of God there's another danger there. It can become so familiar and commonplace. I love Hashem, and he loves me, and we're buds. So King David says, one thing I ask of Hashem, in Psalm 27:4, one thing I ask of Hashem, that I seek that I may dwell in the house of Hashem all the days of my life, to see the pleasantness of Hashem, and to levaker, sometimes translated as contemplate, to visit his temple every morning. The word levaker means to contemplate, but it also means something else. It means to visit. So the Hasidic masters ask, if David was asking to dwell in the house of Hashem all the days of his life, why would he also ask to visit the temple every morning? They responded, what King David was really asking for was, I want to dwell before Hashem's presence all the days of my life, but I never, ever want to lose the awe of a visitor. Therefore Hashem says, and now Israel, what does Hashem your God demand of you? Only to fear Hashem your God, to walk in all his ways, and to love him. Begin with fear. Begin with awe. Otherwise, love of God without fear of God can so easily become love of self. The divine suddenly becomes the means rather than the purpose. Therefore, Melech David, the King David, says, the awe of God is the beginning of wisdom. Psalm 111. King Solomon says it again after everything he writes in Ecclesiastes and Kohelet. All has been heard. Here's the conclusion of the matter. Fear God and keep his commandments, for this is the whole of man. Yet we're stuck. It can't just end with fear and awe. Clearly, in your Devarim, in Deuteronomy, we read that our ultimate purpose is to love him, to worship Hashem, your God, with all your heart, with all your soul. Deuteronomy 10:12. So there's a famous Hasidic story that one of the many that I love. Reb Zusia, a very special man, prayed to Hashem, Hashem, I love you so much, but I not fear you enough. Let me stand in the awe of you like your angels, who are penetrated by your awe-inspiring name. Hashem heard his prayer and filled him completely with the awe of the holy. Suddenly, Zushia crawled under the bed like a wounded puppy, and he cried out in fear, Hashem, please, I cannot continue. Please let me love you like Zushia again. And Hashem answered his prayer again. Because fear of God without love of God simply becomes fear of punishment. So how do we maintain that desired balance? How do we do it both? So King David again offers the answer. The awe of God is the beginning of wisdom. And the more we understand, the more wisdom that we have, understand the awesome reality of Hashem's existence, and feel so much more finite, the more love we feel. Because as we begin to be aware of our role and the purpose he's allocated in our lives, we feel loved. We feel connected. I remember standing by a beach once and wondering, this must be what awe is. Looking out forever and the sea never ends. I'm like this granule of sand here on this beach. And then I realized, look at those waves. They never stop coming. Yes, you're standing before the infinite God. It never ends. But he keeps sending waves to wash over us. Maybe that's the way to be holy. Understand his greatness, understand his infinite. Don't try to don't make him into man with man's feelings and man's emotions. He's God. But he loves his creations. And he keeps sending waves of affection. So therefore, know that I am the infinite and holy God, Hashem says. But when you truly know that, you'll find your place within it. And as we enter into Yom HaShoah, questions we really can't answer. Why so many innocents were destroyed and killed? When we think about October 7th, we don't know. But we know that there is a plan and a design, and in that plan and design, we don't find comfort in that it wipes away the pain, but we find comfort in the sense that there seems to be a divine purpose. Because after all those years, after all the time, we're here at the Western Wall, here close to the presence that Hashem says is there forever. That's the love of Hashem that we always need to feel and fear and love in our lives. All the best to you from Yerushalayim.